Episode number 10, Karen Viera.
The way you do things has to be not a competitive way, but you have to see the world as there's enough for everybody and we can all work together. And you have to be adding value to everybody you meet, everybody you talk to, everybody you do work for. You add value. And so I give so much of myself, just like you do, Eric. You're on YouTube just giving away tips all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the way to build the network. Like, talk to people, help people, give value, don't hold back.
Welcome to the Govcon Giants Podcast, federal contracting for people on the outside looking in. If you are here to learn how to win a piece of the pie without getting your face smashed in, then you've tuned in to the right place. Now, the giant that not only walks the walk, but talks the talk, your host, Eric Coffey.
Dr. Karen Viera owns The Med Writers, is an author and speaker. The Med Writers, formed in 2011, writes content for medical and scientific clients in the fields of pharmaceutical, healthcare, supplements, and biotech. Her doctorate is in Biomedical Sciences with a master's in management. Last year, she was awarded the Small Business Administration Miami's Woman-Owned Small Business Person of the Year. Her company writes capability statements and proposals for many companies, tools we all need in our arsenal. She's a doctor/CEO, something that I've rarely heard of before. In this episode, we talk about mutual friends from our times at the University of Florida, self-doubt, lessons learned, and what it takes to write proposals for other people. Welcome, Karen Viera.
So what is a biomedical scientist? It's somebody who knows about research. It's a scientist, a research scientist, and anywhere within the space to do with biology as it relates to medicine. So my PhD research was in the Department of Biochemistry and Molecular Biology, doing gene therapy. So that's why I'm a biomedical scientist. You could say I'm a molecular biologist, but for some people, that's a tongue twister. I don't know why, but it is. And then they start calling me a microbiologist, which I get offended because I'm actually not a microbiologist. I'm a molecular biologist, and there is a big difference.
Well, you know what happens? I could see that. I mean, obviously there's a big difference, but microbiologist is more commonly used in the English language than molecular biologist.
Yes.
Now, I definitely don't understand the tongue twister, but then again, I'm an engineer, so it's not really fair to say that. So I do have appreciation for people who may become confused. And the reason why I asked you that was because when I see that you are the Women-Owned Small Business of the Year 2018, and you're 8A certified, I'm trying to figure out, where did you see the connection between science, biology, and federal contracting? Like, how did you first learn about the 8A program?
Okay, so I'll answer all those with a little bit of a story. So I had been working in the private sector for a long time. I started my business in 2007, and I was doing consulting and writing with, back then, mostly small, like, startup companies that were biotech, pharma, medical device kind of related, supplements. And so a lot of them just don't have a big budget, but they need a scientist to come in that can write, which I actually can write. Most doctors can't write for crap. Mm-hmm. And so that was a big kind of selling point. And it's a niche market. Did that for a while, but I felt like I was always in that feast or famine mode that a lot of small businesses live in.
Right.
And I got tired of, chasing the next client and then being busy with their work and chasing the next client. So I said, I'm done with this. How do I fix this? And as I started doing research, I was looking on the corporate side. I was never looking for government. I was like, where did the big companies put out their RFPs, right? Like, how do I get in with these big corporate? Like, I want to work for Johnson & Johnson and Merck and Abbott, which, by the way, I work for all of them now. But back then I didn't. And so I was like, how do I get in? And so I started trying to figure that out. And along the way, I kept seeing stuff that was federal. Federal is the way to kill this feast and famine, get big long-term contracts with federal. And I was like, okay, well, there's a National Institutes of Health. So my sister is also a scientist. I know my family, we're just...
Wow. Brilliant. You guys are just brilliant is what word comes to mind.
my sister works for the National Cancer Institute, and she was running a lab there at the time. And I was like, I knew there's work because I know the kind of stuff she does. And I'm like, somebody's writing up, all these studies that she's doing, right? And it's not me, but it could be me. So let me figure out how to get into the federal space. And so I started looking at it, started doing my research, reading a lot of books. You weren't around back then. There was no video from you because this is like maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Right. No, it's true.
And so there was no great resource like your YouTube channel and your programs.
Right.
So I was trying to figure this stuff out on my own, reading a lot of stuff, tuning into these really bad government webinars.
Oh, yeah.
Puts on webinars that are just the worst, dude.
No, I know.
And so I was doing all that, going to SBA events and SCORE and SBDC and the TED Center and like all the local events from Miami to Palm Beach, just kind of hitting every single one, just trying to learn. Got every book I could from the library, from Amazon, just what is this federal stuff? Because that's what I do. I'm a nerd. I read stuff and I just digest and figure out. So what is this stuff? So I got certified women-owned and minority-owned small business. And I was like, I'm good to go. But I happened to be at an event one day where there was somebody from the SBA scheduled to speak here in West Palm. And I went out. And I turned up and I was the only person at the event. Yeah. Wow. Small business world.
Right.
You can crush it because sometimes nobody else is doing their homework.
Let me tell you. Say it again. Can you repeat that again?
Yes. I turned up at the event. I was the only person because nobody else was doing their homework. Hello, here is somebody from the SBA that used to be a contracting officer in the federal government, who's here for free, giving a talk about how to get work from the federal government, and nobody showed up but me. No. I was like, okay. So this guy was like, do you want me to give my talk, or do you want to just sit and chat? So I was like, well, you can give the talk if you want. And he was like, here's the handout. You're smart. You've got a PhD. You can read that on your own. Because it was very basic, register in SAM. Here's FBO. And I already knew that. I was already registered in SAM. I was registered as a women-owned small business and minority-owned, all that. I was like, yeah, I know this stuff. Like, I need the advanced stuff. Like, show me, skip forward. Show me how to get the contract. Tell me the inside secrets. So him and I sat for like an hour, and I told him what I do and who my clients were, the kind of money I was making, how my business was organized, just kind of the ins and outs of everything. And he said, you need to get in the 8A program. I said, no, I've looked at the 8A. The 8A is for a company that's way ahead of where I am. Like, I'm not there yet. I'm not ready for that. I don't have all those systems in place. I'm not ready for that. And he's like, I actually disagree with you. I think that if you get into the 8A program, it will position you nicely because you are looking for contracts within HHS, Department of Health and Human Services, and it will be very attractive to them if you were an 8A. He's like 8A and Hub Zone. And he's like, if you can get Hub Zone, get it too. And I was like, really? Because I don't think I'm there. And he talked me into it. He explained all the pros and cons of it. He explained the process. He explained everything. And he was like, do it. And that coincided, that was just before I started the SBA Emerging Leaders program.
Okay. I've heard of it.
Emerging Leaders, if you've never heard of it, is a program that the SBA puts on for business owners who are trying to grow their business, and it covers all different areas. So it's like a 7-month program, and classes like, I think every other week. I think we did every other Wednesday from like 6 to 9 p.m. And we met at the SBDC in FIU downtown Miami.
Okay.
And it goes through, sales and marketing, kind of assessing your business and seeing where you are, your strengths, your weaknesses, your operations, your HR, your finances, just kind of everything. And when I got into that program, it was shortly after this guy told me get in the 8A, and I met somebody in the program, one of my classmates, he had 8A, and I was like, oh, word. So then I started talking to him, and he's like, yeah, I got it. You know, I haven't really
done anything with it. Yeah.
Kind of trying to figure out, but I have it. So it looks quite attractive when I put in proposals that if somebody wants to sole source rather than, you know, like when I submit to sources sought, they now know if they don't want to put it out to competitive bid, they can sole source to me. So I was like, okay, well, you know, so they kind of talked me into it between the guy in the SBA and then that guy that was in my class. I was like, I'm going to do it. And I did. And everybody made it seem like it was this really difficult thing. It's not difficult. It's just a pain in the behind.
Yeah.
It's like if you're willing to do a lot of paperwork, you know, like they want to know everything.
So you did your own application or did you hire someone?
I had my own application. Okay. I was paying somebody 10 grand, 5 grand, whatever to do. I was like, because here's the thing. When you pay somebody that money, they can't go through your paperwork in your house.
No, of course.
They still have to go through your paperwork and find all the paperwork. So all they can do is submit the paperwork for you.
Right.
They're not doing anything. You're paying them a lot of money just to tell you what papers to go and find. You can read that list
on. They have a checklist. Right. They have their own checklist.
Yeah.
Right.
So I did it myself, and it was a real pain in the behind because I just had to find a lot of things and create a lot of documents that I didn't even have. Like I needed, you know, to show the minutes of meetings. I was like, what minutes? And actually back then we used to do, like my team and I, we used to do a weekly call and we did have notes. So I submitted that. That was our meeting minutes. I don't know, whatever. But it wasn't as hard as people made it seem. It's tedious. But if you have attention to detail, if you can read a checklist, if you can go back and find, you know, 3 years of tax returns, you can, you know, I had to show properties that I had owned that I didn't own anymore. I had to show that I was divorced. I had to find my divorce papers. I was like, these people are nosy. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, they want all your everything.
They want the lowdown because I assume there's a lot of people really trying to get in the program.
It's probably like running for office.
Yeah. I mean, they wanted all my dirty laundry. So I gave it to them and I was like, it stinks. Go wash it. And they were like, cool, here's your 8A.
That's awesome.
Life is messy and I'm broke because that's where I was at the point. You know, I went through a divorce. I went through foreclosures when the market crashed with real estate and I had nothing. I was like, here, I got 2 kids to support. Help me. Let me get some government contracts right quick. And that was where I started.
You know, the interesting thing is, and the reason why I asked you that was because a lot of people come to me and they say, well, Eric, they think that these programs are just for IT and construction. And, you know, and you're in a whole nother world from, first of all, than anyone that's ever asked me about any type of government contracts. But, you know, like people like, for example, say Wendy, who we spoke about, who does content bacon and her organization does content. You know, they come to me and ask me about the opportunities for them. And again, I come from the construction space. So again, I tell people I don't know about every single line of work, but I can teach you how to find out the information on your own. And I think this is great because, you know, the listeners will get the chance to hear from someone who did something that's not R&D, that's not construction, that's not IT, that's a total, I would say, left field type of business.
Yeah, it totally is. And so that has been the biggest challenge for me, to be honest with you. In the federal space, nobody knows where to put me. So when you're in the 8A program, you get a business development person assigned to you from within the SBA office. And they're required as part of their job to sit with you at least once a year. They do a site visit. They come out to you and they sit and say, how can I help you? How can I help you get contracts? Like, where are you at?
Real quick, just to interrupt, you started the business, the 8A business, because I know you have 2 companies. You did it with the Med Writers, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, because you have a second company, Make a Supplement.
Yes, I do.
All right, we'll talk about that later. But so
you're a good detective, dude. You're awesome.
Hey, I'm prepared. I'm prepared for my people. I want to make sure I get all the information. You know, the thing is, I don't know a lot of times what's going to resonate with people out there. And, you know, there may be someone listening on the end that, like you said, that does content. There may be someone that is also a doctor or a PhD student. You know, I was actually, you touched on a couple points already that resonated with me, because I was at, it was 2 weeks ago in Broward, the Office of Small Economic Business had a conference at the Signature Grand off of 595, and it was sold out. It was free, but there was more tickets.
I saw the ad for it came in my email, but I didn't go. I'm lazy. I choose my events.
No. Well, that's for you. It does maybe not make sense, but I was a moderator on the panel for all of the contracts for Broward Health, for the Broward School Board, for the Sheriff's Office, and they said the same thing, that people are not even showing up.
Yeah,
and it's a testament.
You get the contract.
It's a kind of a testament to what you said with the SBA and this event, that a lot of people are saying, well, where's the opportunity? What's going, and they said, well, we can't justify why we're not giving in contracts to your businesses if you guys don't show up. We don't even know. We can't take that back upstairs and say, no one showed up. That's why they're putting these people in a difficult situation, even to do their jobs, to try and reach out to small business, because if no one shows up, they can't make up, names and seek you out.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of why I brought that up. But
so it's very funny, because people say that it's really competitive, and I've even heard you say it on. I did my homework too. I listened to some of your stuff, and I'm like, no, it's not competitive. Maybe it is in construction. Where I am, nah, it's not competitive. I just looked at a sources saw in a solicitation recently, and there was 2 interested vendors. 2.
No.
2. But I have reached out, like, part of my journey where I began, even before I got the 8A, was I started reaching out to contracting officers, because I was like, well, let me see if I can build some relationships, which is difficult because I'm in South Florida and all the agencies I'm trying to get in with are in the DC and Maryland.
Right. National Institute of Health and HHS.
With emails and stuff. And I would reach out to contracting officers and say, is there anything you need help with? Not, do you need medical writing? Is there anything? Because I was just curious to see, the kind of responses I would get. Because I'm a hustler and I've done everything, we've talked about real estate. We've talked about, all kind of small businesses and university and stuff. I've done it all. So I know how to make money, and I know how to find resources and pull people together. I know a lot of people. I can make things happen. So I just would reach out and be like, what do you need? And I remember one time having a contracting officer write back to me and tell me, we need this done. And it was for the Indian Health Services. They were trying to move. They had a new building they'd built, and they were moving from their old clinic to the new clinic. And there was absolutely nobody that bid on it. They put it out on GSA. Right. They put it out on FBO. Yeah. Nobody bid on it. Like, they had put it out 3 times.
Wow.
And nobody bid on it. It was like a clinic in California, but it was on an Indian reservation. And they were trying to move. And all they needed was somebody that knew how to move a clinic. Like, come in, move the physical stuff. The pharmacy, you've got to have like armored guards and stuff, because there's opioids and all that crap in the pharmacy, right? But it was moving a clinic. It wasn't rocket science.
Right.
It was like, you might need to train some of the staff on like new procedures in the new location or whatever, kind of just figuring out what needed to be done and doing the move, like planning the move, doing the move, training the staff, getting everybody transitioned.
Yeah.
It wasn't rocket science. But this dude was like, nobody has bid on it. I've put it out 3 times.
And what happened?
Well, I didn't bid on it either. Well, I did, but I knew I couldn't win because I didn't know what I was doing.
Right. You didn't understand it. Which was the right thing to do.
I never moved anybody, but I called a friend of mine, the same one that was in the Emerging Leaders program with me, who has the 8A certification. He has a trucking business, logistics. They do shipping and trucking.
Yep.
And I was like, dude, can you move a clinic? He was like, where is it? And I said, California. He was like, well, well, yeah, let me make a call. I suppose we could, and then I had another friend that was in the 8A program with, not the 8A, the Emerging Leaders program with me, who's in Broward, and he has a security business, shout out to ISI. And I was like, can you move a pharmacy? Like, you got armored guards, right?
Yeah.
So it was like, I actually started to put it together. I was actually going to try to bid and win this thing, even though I was like, this is so out of my league. I don't have time for this. But the point is, because the guy was begging me to bid on it. He was like, we don't have anybody, and it's crazy because small businesses are not showing up in certain niche markets.
Yeah.
As competitive as it might be in construction or, certain types of areas of like certain, maybe procurement or IT or whatever, purchasing certain products, but there's other areas where nobody is showing up.
Right. No, I agree with you 100%. Like I said, that's kind of where I started. Was when I first looked at the government, I looked at construction. I said, okay, I got to have my own niche, and that's how I got into steel buildings. And after that, my business just took off, and I really didn't have any competition. But even when I was helping a consultant client last year up in the Northeast, I did have the same experience where I reached out to a few contracting officers, and one called me up, and they had a project on publicly on FBO, and it had went out and had been on there for 3 months, 6 months, and they had, the bid date came. No one bid. The bid date, they put it back out. The bid date, it came. And when I called her, she said the same thing, that, it had already been put out. I don't know if it's 2 or 3 times. I know it was a minimum of 2, but it had been. And maybe this was the 3rd time, and that no one bid the project. And so we bid it. And again, what she said, no one else showed up. And we ended up negotiating the contract. And that was our first contract that I helped this consultant client win. By the way, they had been in 8A for 2 years and didn't have a single project. But they thought that you get the 8A and you sit back and you wait and people start knocking on your door and throwing work at you.
And that's the biggest misconception that people have. People ask me that all the time because I speak at a lot of events and stuff where I get asked to come just because I get involved with the SBA and SBDC and stuff, and they ask me to come speak. And I'm like, really? Because I don't know that much.
Well, wait a second. Hold on. You're speaking next week or this week at FIU.
I am. I don't even know when it is. I hope it's not on my husband's birthday. He's going to kill me.
You know what? Yeah.
To see what date I'm speaking. They just asked like a few months ago, May? And I was like, yeah, May's good. I don't even know.
I have the date, but I don't have it in front of me.
I got to find it. But yeah, so when I go speak, people ask me that all the time. So you're 8A, so that's how you get all your contracts? Actually, no, that's not. What I have now in terms of like the contract I have right now is with the NIH. And I got that by bidding. I did not get that by being an 8A business. I showed up as technically capable and the lowest bidder. And I knew that I was the lowest bidder. I knew I low bid that project. Right. You see, I can low bid that project because I have a virtual business. Right. My entire team is, remote. So I don't have the overheads of a business that has a brick and mortar location. And so that low bid, I knew I was low bidding, and probably whoever else bid on it hates me. They're like, this chick. But, it was profitable for me. Right. So you got to know your business. You got to know your numbers. You got to know what you can do and bid as to what makes sense for you. Right. But if you're technically capable and you can show that you've done anything even remotely similar, and you write a proposal that makes sense, like within my field, this is not just bids, right? Like they want to see your proposal. They want to see your team. They see what you've done before, that you understand the project. Because like this project, for example, we write content for a website that is the President Obama put out this brain initiative when he was in office, and it was all about promoting neuroscience research, mapping the brain, really understanding how the brain works, promoting, development of new tools, for mental health and all this stuff. So they have the money and they're giving people the money. They now need to showcase, well, what's coming out of this money, right?
Okay.
So they need content for the website. I can't just show up and be like, yeah, I write content. No. They want to see, like, I look good. I have to look good. And my team does look good. We have like medical doctors and other PhDs that are neuroscientists and psychologists and stuff. And we've done some really nice work over the years for, in corporate, but I haven't done anything like that for the federal government. But I showed up looking good in my proposal, saying things that they didn't know. So I pointed out a few simple things. I looked at Alexa, and back in the day, if you know SEO, Alexa was not a device in your home. Alexa is a web. You used to see rank of our website.
You know, when you say Alexa now, everybody's thinking Alexa in their house, right?
But that is not what I'm talking about. So I'm like, I tell them something simple, like your Alexa rank is this, right. And nobody is linking to your website, and nobody comes to your website, basically. Here's how you get higher rank. When my little rinky-dink site that's not owned by the government has higher Alexa rank than you've got problems. Let me fix problems.
Yeah.
And that's all I said in my proposal that was any different other than here's what I would do.
Right.
The work. And so it just takes writing a good proposal. And for me, that's really my skill, because obviously I'm a writer. And over the years, as I've done work for a lot of small businesses, I got involved with writing proposals for federal, state, all kinds of different projects for people, as well as grant applications and things like that. And that actually really helped me, because then when I started writing my own proposals for the federal marketplace, I'd already done them for other companies. And then as I started going to a lot of these small business events locally, then I started getting asked by other companies, hey, could you write my proposals, even though I'm not in the medical field? And I was like, yeah, I mean, a proposal is a proposal.
Right, yeah, sure, right, yeah.
How to write one, it doesn't really matter what the content is. Yeah, of course. So then we don't advertise it, obviously, but we started writing proposals for a ton of different types of companies, everything from construction to engineering to things that I can't even remember, security, logistics, whatever. But that's just something that we fell into, because I go to a lot of events and I speak and I meet people and I know a lot of people, and they're like, yo, help.
I was going to actually have that towards the end of one of my questions about your proposal writing service. I'm like, obviously it makes sense. It's a natural fit because of your skills as a writer. But I was like, where do people find out about this? And, how do they get information?
I do not advertise it. That's funny, because every week I get 2-3 calls, and it's usually, it starts like this. Brian told me, Natasha told me, Steven told me, Orlando told me to call you.
Let me tell you, you better be careful what you say on here, because
I can get 50,000.
You might start getting 2 or 3 phone calls or calls an hour asking you for proposal writing services, because that is one of the most common things that people ask me for help with, is writing proposals. And maybe we'll have to do another session where we talk about that afterwards.
Yeah, I'm happy to go through the art and the science. Because it's a science, so there's the step by step of it, but then it's kind of an art, like the finesse, like how I just mentioned, talking to the government about this website's rank and how do you get SEO, how do you get people linking into your site. They hadn't thought through any of this stuff, so I said it sounded good, and they were like, So that's the science part of it.
Right.
That's the art part of it. The science part of it is just the logistics of this needs to be in there and this needs to be in there, and the formatting, that kind of thing.
No, well, definitely. Because let me tell you, that is one of the top questions that people ask me all the time, is about proposal writing. And, I've had people send me their proposals and they didn't even follow the format. And,
oh, jeez.
And I just said, at least you got to follow the format. I mean, at the very least, you have to follow the format.
Yeah.
But moving on.
You don't follow the format, you won't even get.
No, you won't get past.
They won't evaluate you at all.
Exactly.
So you don't want to get knocked out before you even get evaluated.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. But we're not going to talk about that today. Because that is another whole hour conversation.
Yeah, it is.
It is. Let me ask you this: how is your MedWriters? It was formed in 2011. How is the organization structured? I know you have medical writers, but are they like 1099 contractors? How does that model work?
Yeah, so I actually started the business in 2007, just running it as a sole proprietor.
Okay.
Every bit worked for me was 1099.
Okay.
I incorporated, I think 2011. You know
Gotcha.
better than me.
Yeah. Oh, look at you.
I remember incorporating when I was about to get divorced, because I was like, okay, you can ride out with everything, but I just want my business and my kids. That's
Fair enough.
all I cared about. And
Okay.
so I incorporated, and I continued with the 1099 model because my accountant, who is great, genius, shout out to Tim Lewis, he told me, he was like, you can have employees all day long, but it's just going to cost you a lot more money.
Right.
And I was like, okay. And the thing is, every bit it works for me is remote. And so what they love is that being a 1099 employee, they get to write off a portion of their rent or mortgage.
Sure.
All the bills in their house because they work from home.
Okay.
And so if they were a W-2 employee, they wouldn't get to do that.
Right.
And we do not micromanage. Like myself and my project manager, we don't have time for that. We have way too much work.
Right.
So we have more that we know what to do with. So if you're out there and you're a PhD or MD that needs a job writing, hit me up. Because
I will make sure to put all of your information in the show notes at the end of this. Okay, don't worry. We will include all of her information in the show notes for people to reach out to you.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, we don't micromanage. So I mean, we really do qualify under 1099 IRS rules, where so it could go either way. We could do W-2 or 1099, but 1099 has definitely been the easiest way to go for a small business. I definitely recommend it. Keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate things and don't overanalyze things. Just do it. Action.
Okay. All right, fair enough. And now let me ask you this: do you contract them out on an assignment basis?
Yes and no. So what I do with a lot of my projects is that a project will come in, and based on who's available and who's a good fit expertise wise, we'll assign the project to somebody.
Okay.
And depending on the size of the projects, we may have a lot of different people work on a project, because sometimes, like, for example, we have one client that started with us recently, and they were like, can you do 300 articles a month?
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. No problem. But there's no way one writer is going to do 300 articles a month.
Right.
I mean, they might, but they might not sleep or shower or anything.
Yeah.
I don't want to jeopardize anybody's hygiene. We're going to people. So with a project like that, what happens is over time, we get to see who they like, because when they send back some people's articles for edits, and then other people's articles, they love it and there's no problem with it, we give more and more of the work to the people that they like. But it doesn't mean that there's only ever like one client that one person works for or whatever. Everybody's all over the place. So we have people that can write for a patient audience, like a lay audience, a general audience. And then we have writers that are more specialized to write for a physician audience or scientist audience or engineers audience kind of thing, where they do the more specialized, more technical writing. So there's different people on the team with different strengths and, of course, different types of expertise and so on.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What made you, how did you come up with this model?
I didn't come up with anything, dude. I started.
You just did. You just went to work.
I just did. I'm a person of action, and I had a corporate job. I used to work at Kraft Foods as a scientist, and my daughter was born, and I said, you know what? This work thing is some nonsense. I'm done. I was like, I'm retiring at 27.
How did that work out for you?
Yeah, it did. I'm still working, but it doesn't feel like work.
No, right.
When I'm sitting at home and my desk is facing the lake, I'm here watching, as I'm talking to you, I'm watching the ducks play and I'm watching an iguana run around.
See?
I'm good. I'm tired.
I understand. No, I agree 100%. I agree 100%.
Yeah, so it wasn't really a model. It was that I love to write, and I started writing on a freelance basis, and I got more work than I can handle. And some of my friends that went to school with me, they were like, can I have some of that work? And I started subcontracting to them. And then, things grew, and eventually I incorporated. And, Eventually I got certified with the government, but I didn't really have a model and a plan. I wouldn't recommend doing that, to be honest, but it worked out for me.
I think it works out for a lot of us out here, to be honest with you.
But I mean, more time up front sitting and thinking and planning things probably is better. But I did not do that. I did it backwards. I started the business, and then I don't know how many years later, 9 or so years later, I finally said, I need to stop and kind of think this through and figure out where I'm going. And that's when I did the SBA Emerging Leaders program. And then after that, I did another one through Florida State. I'm not a trader, I swear. I'm still a gator. Okay. But I did an FSU program that they have through the Jim Moran Institute called the Small Business Executive Program. And both of those programs made me kind of stop, evaluate my business, where am I at, where am I headed, create a plan, a 3-year, 5-year kind of plan, and then kind of start back on my trajectory rather than continuing blindly. Because if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. But it's not worth going.
So you touched on something that I hadn't made it to yet, but one of the questions I did have was, I know that you have invested in yourself, and I saw the Jim Moran executive coaching. I saw Tony Robbins program you did, the Terry Bowen thing, Claudine Moto. I saw obviously you're a big fan of investing in yourself. What other types of programs that have worked for you in your business that you could recommend for other people?
One of my favorite business coaches over the years, I'm a big fan of Tony Robbins, but he would definitely not be the top, even though he's the most well-known. I've been reading this guy's work and following this guy since I was in graduate school. So that means it was easily 20 years. His name is David Finkel, Finkel. Okay. This guy's genius. He used to do this thing called the Maui Millionaires, where he took business owners to Maui and did this week where they kind of really pick their business apart and rebuild their business. Nobody has money for that. It's expensive as crap. But he has distilled all that knowledge down into books. And actually, I have one of his books sitting on my desk because I literally work off of this on a weekly and sometimes daily basis. It's called Scale. SCALE, Scale. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's all about growing your business. This guy's genius. If you follow David Finkel, you'll fall in love. He's my favorite. I've yet to cough up the money and go to Maui Millionaires, but I definitely recommend all of his books. He actually used to do real estate too, and that's how I started reading his stuff, was back when I was doing real estate investing in the 90s and early 2000s.
Okay, interesting. Tell us about your SBA award. You won the 2018 Women-Owned Small Business Person of the Year. How did they select you? What was the criteria? Was that, I'm assuming it's for med writers.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
That came about, I got a phone call that said, Karen, I just nominated you for this award. And I said, what? Why? I don't qualify for that. I'm sure I don't. I'm not. I don't know what that's about, but you got the wrong person. And I was like, no, you fit, you're going to win for sure. Submit this stuff because you deserve it. Like, you're always out there hustling. You're always helping people. You give back. I've seen you write proposals for people and not charge them because they had no money. You're going to win this thing. Submit your stuff. And I just real quick, literally in an hour, I threw some stuff together and emailed it off. Or actually, no, that one was a paper submission and printed it off or whatever. And I won. And I was like, for real? Oh.
So you don't think it was because of your contracts and your sales and your revenues? You don't think it was because of any of that stuff?
I mean,
had to be.
Yeah, it's supposed to be in theory. But, in life, you're the one that preaches this, and a lot of other business gurus do too. People do business with people they know, like, and trust.
Yep.
Awards are no different. Right. People that they know, like, and trust. And people in the SBA know me. They know they can pick up the phone and call me. They know they can send people to me. And I'm really for them, do good by them. If they have no money, I've helped people. If I have the time and I can help you, I pay it forward all the time. I didn't get here on my own. And I'm always looking out for people. I'm always like, hey, I saw this contract and we could team on this, or even I saw this contract, it had nothing to do with anything I can do, but something you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Let's send it your way. So people know that. People know that I'm not in it just for myself. Right. I look out for others.
Right.
And I'm a hustler. I am trying to grow my business and, get contracts and all that. But it's not because I'm a superstar in that arena. It's just they know me, they like me, they trust me. And they're like, yeah, your business is doing all right. So, yeah, we'll give you the award.
Okay. No. And listen, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, but more publicity, more getting your name out there, it can't hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure that my business looks good. To some people who are just starting out, they want what I have.
Right.
For me, I'm a little bit tough on myself. I want to grow faster,
Oh, we are all our worst critics.
If I do 35% growth rate in a year, I'm like, oh, that's horrible. I want to double every year.
No, I know. Let me tell you, I know the feeling. I know the feeling.
Yeah.
So tell us about your other business, making a supplement.
Oh, make a supplement is just something that happened. So,
Karen, nothing is something that just happened.
Life is like that. I call it a God thing. Like sometimes God just puts things in your life and you're like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing this. I didn't realize. Okay, cool. I'll do this. And that's kind of what happened there. So I know a lot about supplements, even though my background is gene therapy and biochemistry. I went to work in the food industry after I left from doing that kind of work. And when I was in the food industry, I learned a lot about supplements because I was working on kind of the longer term food ingredients that we could use for health purposes. And those are supplement ingredients. Mm-hmm. And so when I started this business and I was writing, I got a lot of supplement work because I know a lot about supplements. And so it kept falling in my lap where people would be like, well, can you help me figure out what ingredients to put in this new supplement, what dosages, make sure nothing's interacting. Can you check it for safety? Can you look at the studies and make sure this is actually going to work? These are a lot of people that are like one guy with an idea, investing his savings and starting a new product, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I did. I helped people, and for probably next to nothing compared to what, I really should have been charging.
Right.
But it helped a lot of people get their supplements off the ground, and it just became more and more and more. So I started hiring other people that knew about supplements. So I got some naturopathic doctors to come in and work with me. Now there's probably, I don't know, we probably have like 4 or more, 5 naturopathic doctors working with us right now. And yeah, so they help. I do some of the stuff, they do some of the stuff. We help formulate supplements. We help, evaluate existing supplements. We do obviously all the writing, all the marketing for the supplements. A lot of people have an issue trying to make their supplement marketing FDA and FTC compliant. So we help with that. Mm-hmm. We do videos explaining how the supplements work, all kinds of stuff. It's really fun. And it's just something that we got so much work in that area that eventually I was like, we just need to kind of branch off a whole other brand and have its own website and kind of do its own thing. So it's become, a life of its own, but it was birthed under the MedWriters. It happened. It falls in your lap. But when you see the contracts, for example, and they're there, nobody's bidding on them. Sometimes you're like, even though this isn't my field of expertise, let me just jump in and the money's there for the taking.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And there was contracts actually out to do this kind of work?
No. So all of those, I started that business with just startups. It was like people with their savings trying to start a brand. And then I got into working for established companies and started working with, brands that, brands that are household names that you can buy in, Walmart or wherever.
Right.
But that wasn't where we started. We really just started because it was like people with a need that wanted help. And I'm a sucker for helping people.
And then it turned into a business.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. A couple more things. I know we've already hit past the hour mark. So you are speaking at FIU on wasting the 8A certificate. Can you give me briefly a few of your talking points for the upcoming workshop, or you don't have them yet?
You're cute. You're awesome.
I'm just saying.
When the talk is, and I do not have my talking points. So
Okay.
I
All
kind
right.
of
Let me rephrase the question. What lessons have you learned from the 8A program that you want to share with others? How's that?
So yeah, some of the things that we'll be talking about, because Orlando and I are going to tag team on that talk, is that 8A kind of feels like a secret society. Nobody tells you, like 8A businesses are very tight-lipped, I find.
Yes.
They won't tell you how they're getting their contracts. You know, like they won't put you down with the game.
No, they won't.
But I'm a little bit cute. So I've used that in my favor a few times in terms of some males, you know, might open their mouth and be inclined to put me down with how they got their start with their 8A getting sole source contracts, because, you know, they're like, oh, she's got
She's right.
You know, I don't know, but the male brain, I don't quite understand it, but I know that being kind of cute makes guys do things that they wouldn't normally do.
Okay.
So, you know, show up in a skirt and some heels and say, hey, so how did you get your start? Like, put me down with the game. And a few people have, but it's difficult to get that information. I feel like nobody's talking about how do you get in and get those sole source contracts. Everybody talks about how to get the 8A.
Of course. Everyone talks about how to get the 8A.
Nobody talks about what do you do when you have it? How do you build relationships? How do you meet the right people? I was under the impression that I needed to just meet contracting officers. I learned that the people that have really sole source contracts, they're dealing with the program managers. They're not even dealing with the contract officers most of the time.
Right.
So there I was chasing KOs, and I needed to be chasing program managers.
No, right.
So like it's that. So that's really what we're gonna dive into is nobody's talking about this stuff. Like who's doing what, how are they getting it? And I'm still learning this stuff. So don't think that because I'm the speaker at the event, I'm an expert. It just means I might be one step ahead of somebody else. And so I'm going to share what I'm learning and hope that it helps somebody else that's like now trying to figure it out or now getting their 8A.
And you know what? I think that's super important. And that's the idea is, you know, I've already found from, you know, my time of being on YouTube that my network and also the network of the people that are part of my network is growing exponentially, because now when we're reaching out to people, they go, oh, I know this lady and I know this person and this, you know, this person. And now being part of or associating with me and what we're doing has brought people like streamlined success, I would say, because, hey, you don't like, we can call this person and say you were trying to meet them or you're trying to have, and someone says, wow, I've been trying to reach this person. They don't call me back. They don't talk to me.
Exactly. Introductions are everything.
Yeah.
So that's really key in terms of you want to meet as many people as you can. If you can get an introduction, that's the way in the door. So when I talk to another 8A business, I'm like, where are you getting your contracts? If they say CDC, if they say FBA, if they say NIH, I'm like, great, who are you working with there? Can you put me down? Like, if I'm not in direct competition, if you do health IT and I do writing, I'm not going to take your contract.
Right, exactly.
So you don't have a problem then at that point saying, okay, yeah, let me introduce you to who I'm working with there. And then once you make that introduction, it's a lot easier for me to get in with them. And I can show them, look, I have this NIH contract. They're super happy with the work I've done. Call my contracting officer, you know, call the program manager I'm working with, and then open that line of discussion to what their needs are that I can meet to try to get that sole source contract rather than just out there bidding. I'm tired of bidding. I'm tired of writing proposals. I want to write proposals for you guys. You're paying me to. I don't get paid to write my own proposals.
Right. That's true. You're right. I never thought about that.
I'm tired of it.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. A couple more things. You said you write capability statements. Tell me how important that is for business owners when they're getting started.
Super, super important.
And again, let me just qualify this. Obviously, we know capability statements are important, but why does it matter about how they're written, and why do they need a professional writer?
Yeah, because nobody knows what to put on a capability statement. I remember getting a template from somewhere, and that template was crap.
Uh-huh.
That template wanted me to put a photo of me.
Ooh.
I'm like,
What is
a photo of me? What does this have to do with anything?
No.
To me, it's unprofessional.
Yep.
I don't know. Maybe it's not unprofessional, but as a female, I feel
think it is.
that's almost trying to be like, look, I'm cute. Give me contracts. That's not right.
No, it's not.
Yeah, so I feel like the templates, they don't match up with what the companies are actually doing. So when I said earlier that like 8A is a secret society, I feel like federal contracting as a whole is somewhat of a secret society and that a lot of companies don't share. So when I first got into this space, it was all about building friends. And one of the first things I did was ask the business owners I knew that had federal contracts that were doing, at least over $1 million in contracts to show me their capability statement. I was like, I want to see what it looks like. And it didn't look anything like that template that I got from the PTAC.
Right. Poor PTAC.
He's trying to set me up for failure.
That's right. That's all right. I love PTAC, but I tell people
I'm not knocking the PTAC.
Yeah, no, I love PTAC. I love PTAC.
It is free.
It's right.
But I'm just saying that the people in the PTAC, most of them have never owned a business.
There you go.
Federal contracting.
You said it, not me. But I have always
the government somewhere. They may have done something with a company that was a big prime, but most of the people in the PTAC have never owned a business as a federal contractor. So they can only give you so much wisdom.
Right.
Where you really need to get your wisdom is from the actual business owners that are doing actual contracts, which is why I have tons of respect for you, Eric, because you're out here hustling. You've got your own business doing contract and you're teaching people how to do this. And that's valuable because people need to learn from people that are actually doing it.
Right.
So that's where I got started, is just asking everybody what they were doing. I'm like, can you show me a proposal you submitted that won? And a lot of people looked at me like I had two heads. And they were like, no, that's mine.
Right.
I'm not showing you that.
I know.
And I broke them down and I would buy them breakfast, lunch, coffee. I didn't care. I was like, come, let's hang out. Okay, you could tell me about your problems. Oh, you overweight? Let me help you lose weight. I'm
going to tell you. I'll tell you, Karen, it's difficult. Even with people that I teach, right, that are in my groups. And I say, listen, they'll come and tell me, Eric, I just want a contract. I'm so happy, da-da-da. I go, can you share it with the group, right? Can we do a video? Oh, no, I don't want to jinx it. I said, oh, no.
They're super secretive.
I don't want to tell anybody because then they might try to go over there and get my And I said,
they think that if they share that you're going to somehow scoop them.
I know.
And here's the thing. There's enough for everybody.
I've been saying that. But
there's billions of dollars. Can we work together, people?
I tell them they don't understand the power of the network. They haven't figured it out.
That's my new thing, is that everywhere I go, everywhere I talk, I'm like, get the business cards of everybody around you because you need these people. Contracts coming out bigger and bigger.
Yes.
And you need these people. So you don't know it yet, but you need these people.
You do need them.
You need to talk to them because the ones that have contracts and you don't have any, you need to figure out what they're doing that you're not doing.
I know.
And the ones that you already have contracts, you need all these people because you need subs.
And the crazy thing is I've been on projects where, it's 20 million, 14 million. And they came to me looking for subs, for other scopes of work that were not related to me. And again, if the people that were winning contracts were not afraid to share or be part of the network, I could easily refer them other subs for we're not talking about 50,000. We're talking about multi-million-dollar contracts that the guy goes, Eric, hey, you know a sub that can do this, or you know a sub that can do that? I'm like, and the scope of work was like $3 million.
Yep.
And he just wanted a referral. Like they didn't care. Just give me a referral because I had my scope, which is X millions of dollars, and then people are so afraid and terrified, as if they're never going to get another contract, or someone's going to come along and just take. And I've seen it at we're talking about $20,000 contracts and less. And I said, "It's a big." I go, "Come on, really?"
Yeah. I'm like, no, seriously, guys. It's not even that serious. But one of the things that I tell people all the time, a really good book to read is Wallace Wattles. I can't remember the name of the book, The Science of Getting Rich, I think. And one of the things he says is in the science of getting rich is the way you do things has to be not a competitive way, but you have to see the world as there's enough for everybody and we can all work together. And you have to be adding value to everybody you meet, everybody you talk to, everybody you do work for. You add value. And so I give so much of myself, just like you do, Eric. You're on YouTube just giving away tips all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the way to build the network. Like talk to people, help people, give value, don't hold back. Like if somebody has your capability statement, now they know what you actually
they do.
They can send that to somebody else. You know how many introductions I make for people every week? Because if I talk to you, Eric, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I know this guy that, does steel construction. If that pops up, because, I'm speaking at FIU next week, there might be somebody there that says, I wish I had a sub in steel construction. Right. You know how many people? I have a friend that does bridges, Eric. She probably could use you. You know what I mean? So my brain makes those connections and I'm like, yeah, let me introduce you. But when you're like in your little bubble, you don't get out, you don't want to talk to anybody, you don't want to send anybody a capability statement, you don't show the contract you just won. Nobody can help you.
Nobody can help you. No one can help you. No one can help you. And it's and a lot of times, like you said, I mean, I see it all the time, even with my own group, and I have people that have sent me emails and messages, and I said, please share it with everybody. Let's do a video. Let's talk about it. It's not just for me, it's to promote you. I mean, I'm on here promoting you. By the way, your friend that has a builds bridges, I can tell you right now, there's a contract up in Madawaska, Maine, that they're looking for someone to build a bridge. But I wouldn't know that if I didn't know that you knew someone that built bridges, and we wouldn't even be able to have this conversation.
Exactly.
What advice do you offer women entrepreneurs?
It's the same advice for all entrepreneurs. Get out there and hustle. But the thing is, we have an advantage because a lot of small businesses are not registered as women-owned small businesses. And there's even a certification now for economically disadvantaged women-owned small businesses. And all that means is you don't have millions of dollars. Right. So, go into certify.sba.gov. It's a self-certification. You just upload your tax returns and it's simple. You can get this, and a lot of people don't know, but it's just like 8A. They can sole source contracts to you when you have they call it EDWOSB, Economically Disadvantaged Women-Owned Small Business Certification. So do that because it's of your benefit alone. So definitely for women-owned, hustle just as hard as men, because I find women tend to not hustle as hard. We tend to not promote ourselves. We tend to, think it's a man's world and woe is me. Nobody has time for that. Go out there, hustle, do what you got to do, show up looking good. Not just physically, but your business, run your business right. Stop doing laundry and cooking and go run your business right. Because men, they put their business in order. Business comes first. They run their business.
Yes, that's true.
It's a priority, and women run our business like it's an afterthought. Stop doing that. Don't do that anymore.
No, that's true. Since you said you're a mom with 2 kids, I had someone actually send me a message the other day that they said they were a working mom with 2 with a full-time job, and they want to jump in. They asked me this question: that was it possible for someone like themselves? I could say this: I have so far already out of I've already interviewed 5 successful women entrepreneurs on this show. They've been the ones, like you said, the first ones to raise their hand and say, hey, I'm willing to give back because, what has been given to me. What would you say to someone that asked me that question about being a working mom of 2 with a full-time job and wanting to leave and going to the wacky world of business as a government contractor?
Do it. I mean, the world is your playground. Do it. Anything you want to accomplish in life, if you set your mind to it, you can do it. So it's don't let anything hold you back. I started, trying to figure out the world of federal contracting when I was fresh out of a divorce, broke. I didn't even have furniture. I moved out with nothing but my kids. And I was sleeping on the floor and, just barely making it. And so just do it. Don't overthink it. Just do it. Put one foot in front of the other. figure out, and Eric has a great course that like walks you through how to do it. So just do that course and do it. Don't worry about should I or shouldn't I, just do it.
No, listen, thank you so much, Karen. Well, what I'm going to do, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this today. I went over my time. I apologize for that, but I had so much fun with you.
Yeah.
And definitely we're going to get together really soon. Sooner than later. I don't, obviously you're probably an hour and 20 minutes from me. So I have no excuse.
I'm closer than that, but yeah.
Well, I can tell you this. I will be sending Maria out to your talk. She's going to be coming out to your talk at the FIU event.
You sending secret spies?
I'm not. Hey, I'm going to have representation there. How's that?
Yeah, you're going to make me have to put together some talk notes?
No, not at all. We're not going to film it or interview anything like that. We're just gonna go out there and see. No, I think this is great. Really, I had a great time, and it's very rare that I have an opportunity to talk to someone that obviously you're medical, I'm an engineer, but we start at the same place, and I definitely accredit the University of Florida for helping me develop as a person, as an adult, and I've met a lot of great connections there that I still to this day work with. And, it's interesting when I first heard you speak in the beginning, when you talked about how you were hustling with the scholarships, that to me resonated with how it translated into business later on. You know? And if you ever, I tell people this, if you ever got a chance to meet my mom, she would say, that boy, Eric, he was on a bus selling lollipops as a kid. And I mean, it's just that's
right. That's what we do.
It's what we do.
I'm at the University of Florida, and I used to sell water. You probably know me because whenever there was a big football game and everybody would be in town tailgating, they had to walk from where they were parked tailgating all the way up the big hill to get to the football stadium. And I used to pull my Jeep up, and I would go to Sam's Club and get water, and I'd have coolers full of ice cold water, and I would stand there and I would sell water. The hotter it got, the higher the price. $2, $3, $4, depending.
No.
Yep, sure did. Did it all the time. And these people, they were dehydrated and hot. They would pay $4 for a bottle of water if it was 95 degrees outside. Man, I paid my mortgage off of water.
No. You know what? I got one more. I have one more. So I actually, I had a friend of mine that had like this promotional company. He did pens and T-shirts, and he put your name on anything, right? And we had an idea. We said, look, why not? If we can get a company, because he could print T-shirts really cheaply, and I said, well, if we can get a company, let's say Pizza Hut or Domino's, to basically put their names on a shirt, if they paid us, let's say we got the shirts for $1 and we sold them, we charged them $2. If they paid us, we could give out the shirts for free, right? At the games. And the University of Florida said, okay. But you can't because of all the branding with, the college programs and all that stuff. They said the only way that you could actually have a corporation affiliated with the university and not violate like NCAA rules was you had to be part of a nonprofit, like an organization at the club at the university. Well, I have my entrepreneurs club at the University of Florida, and I said, okay, well, if I print the university's name on the shirt, you guys will let me do it. And they said, yeah, sure.
Nice.
So I had, and the first one was actually Papa John's. So Papa John's paid us $1 more per shirt, right, to print up like 1,000 shirts, right, which is awesome. We made $1,000, and then all we did was right before the games, we would go to all the frat houses and take boxes and just throw shirts to everybody. We say, this is a free shirt that we're all going to wear today and have it on national TV at the game, right?
Nice.
And it says University of Florida on the logo on one side and Papa John's on the back. Well, it only took one game for that to happen before we got shut down by the University of Florida. They literally changed the rule and said, no, we're not allowing this anymore.
Because they didn't realize how many shirts you were going to be able to give out. They're like, wow, everybody's wearing this shirt.
Everyone's wearing this shirt. And it was free. It was basically free. Well, not free, but it's very low cost. I guess what do they call it now? They do that now with marketing where they go out and people pop up in a city. It was one of those type of marketing schemes where it was very low cost to the actual like Papa John's, but it was
Yeah.
high impact because it was all on national TV.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It was awesome. It was really fun. And in fact, I still have a couple of those shirts I kept as a momentum to that.
Nice.
So listen, Karen, thank you so much. This has been wonderful. I really enjoyed it. And we will have to definitely swap numbers afterwards so we can connect and stay in contact. And I will have Maria go out. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be in town when you're speaking, so I can't make it. But I'll send Maria out there. Otherwise, I would go myself in person.
I'll start sending you some events because even when I'm not speaking, there's a lot of really cool events that you probably would enjoy.
No, send me to really cool events out in Palm Beach, and I'll put some on my calendar when I'm in town.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. This was awesome.
No, thank you so much. I had a lot of fun, and we're gonna have to come back around for another show.
Yeah. We'll touch on the proposal writing.
Yeah,
well,
on the proposal
I'll write notes too if you want me to.
Yeah. Why don't start writing some notes to get ready? Let's try. Maybe we could circle around in like maybe July, August.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. It's great talking to you.
No problem.
Okay. Thanks, Karen. I'll see you.
Bye.
Bye now.
I want to thank Karen for bringing her intellect and wit to the government sector. She is creating a mega medical writing practice that will be a formidable foe to those entering the space. We hope to have her do an upcoming proposal writing session in the near future, as I can't think of a better person positioned to do so. As usual, all the show notes will be on our site, govcongiants.com/podcast. If you like what you hear, leave us a 5-star review. Right now, I believe we have about 15 or so 5-star reviews, which is terrible considering the amount of downloads we've had on iTunes. But nevertheless, we want to keep pushing for those reviews, keep pushing, encouraging people out there. If you like what you hear, please make sure you share it. Thank you so much, and we'll hear from you next time.